So we are live tonight with Porscha and Dana. Porscha is our Call to Peace Ministries advocate coordinator, and Dana is a survivor here who is going to share more about how Call to Peace Ministries advocates, an advocate from Call to Peace Ministries, supported her. And so I'm going to start with Porscha and let her introduce herself and tell a little bit about your role with Call to Peace Ministries. What exactly is an advocate coordinator, and what do you do to assist Call to Peace Ministries with their advocates that they're training?
Hello, everybody. So I am the advocate coordinator with Call to Peace, and what my role looks like is that I am here to assist all the advocates, those who are helping survivors and women who have been in domestic violence or trying to get out of a domestic violence situation, or even someone who's just curious about how we can help with getting them out of this domestic violence situation. I help those people who have been trained with our organization. We have a whole training process that our advocates, affiliated advocates, go through. So what I do is I help them help those ladies who are seeking support from us. So we have a lot of women who have, and there are some men who have decided to play a role in supporting another woman or man who is trying to flee or come up with a plan to leave domestic violence situations, or even the aftermath of that. There are some women who and men who have left, but now they're going through court situations, and they're trying to figure out the separation process, the divorce process, how to set boundaries with their offender who they're now separated from or trying to get separated from. So we have women all across the US, and we have women also internationally who are supporting women everywhere and men with getting out of domestic violence situations and the aftermath of that as well. I feel like I was kind of all over the place with that, but um, so if you have any questions, put them in the comments so that we can answer them. But what that looks like is that I am the support for all those people who need the support. So we have, I can't even give you the number right now because the number had just recently changed drastically of about the amount of women that we have um, who are a part of this organization who decided to advocate for other women and men. Who are in domestic violence situations. And at one point it was like 53, but I'm sure that number has probably increased so much. I don't even have a number for it. But I get to support them, and we help women find resources. We help women um, to develop coping skills, to find their path in life, to bring help bring more perspective about the direction they want in their life. So, a woman who's trying to flee or who has fled the domestic violence situation, oftentimes they are an emotional mess, and they have been through so much trauma that they need that support in order to bring some normalcy to their lives. And so, as an advocate and the advocate coordinator for Call to Peace Ministries, I and a lot of other people, women and men, support women through those processes that they identify for themselves. So we don't make any decisions for women or men who seek our support. So we help guide them in a direction that they desire for their lives to go, and we equip them with the tools, the resources, the partnerships that we have in the community, whether it be with attorneys, whether it be with medical support, housing, financial support. We have those tools and resources that help women start their lives over again and give them a new start. So I hope that helps sum it up a little
That
bit.
was amazing. Yes, that was so good. I appreciate that. You explained that incredibly well, and thank you so much. And we are so grateful for you. And you are newer to the staff. You just came on Call to Peace Ministry staff this year, and so we are so grateful for her and all the work that she is doing to help us be able, like Call to Peace Ministry, be able to assist women better. This was definitely a long time meeting, and so we are very, very glad that she is here. And Dana is here with us as well. And so she is going to share. She had an advocate from Call to Peace Ministries, and so she is going to share with us, how did a Call to Peace Ministries advocate help you as you were coming out of domestic abuse?
Hey, Lauren, thank you. Yeah, from my experience, the advocate that was assigned to me actually, well, the first thing she did that I really appreciated was that she actively listened. She didn't seem shocked or surprised by anything that I said, and she was actually very affirming with what some of my thoughts were and just how I was starting to mentally process my situation before I actually exited out of that relationship. So with that being said, she actually allowed me to take my time. There was no rushing. There was just, she checked in with me at all times, because I was also in this mode of trying to figure out not only what I was going through, but also why it was happening, and in my marriage and who it was affecting, particularly my children. So again, she was very gracious with that and allowed me to use my voice and believed what I said, because a lot of the things that were going on, the symptoms, I guess you could say, fell right in line with a lot of the things that I learned are what advocates actually study and research when it comes to taking on cases. So that was very helpful, and checking in just to see how I was doing, what were my thoughts about some of the next steps that I would possibly want to do, especially when I got further along in my process and started having to actually implement some legal action to inevitably exit that situation when it started to turn for the worse. So yeah, that was how it started. And there was also this open invitation of, should we meet in person? Should we just continue to connect through text or phone? So it wasn't, I felt like I had some say as to how I wanted to do that, because I wasn't sure if it was safe for me to meet in public. I wasn't sure if it was safe for me to meet in a group yet. So with the texting, I could monitor it when I could, when I felt like I had safe moments to do that. So again, she allowed me that space to do that. Does that kind of answer that?
Yes, no, that was really good. And I think that was just so many good points were mentioned for a lot of women, is they feel very afraid, and they feel like kind of like once they take that first step of reaching out to an advocate, there's no turning back, or they're going to be pressured. And we have felt so controlled when you come out of abuse, and being able, like what you're saying, just to have that freedom to be in control of this. And our advocates are so trained. So I'm going through the training myself to teach you how to be in charge of yourself and make your own choices in this, because really, truly, deep down inside, you have the Holy Spirit in you. You know what the right choice is, and it's helping you connect to that. And I just love all those points that you just brought out. And I love the fact that, yeah, you were able to text and do what felt good to you and felt right for you. Is there anything else you want to share about that?
Well, definitely to your point about having control over the situation, when you've been in an abusive relationship, one thing that is taken away is your voice and your power and your control, not only about what you say, but about what you do, how you operate in general. So when that's been taken away, it's a culture shock when somebody allows you that space and actually grants you that empowerment to yourself. I didn't know what to do with it, because I thought, well, what does this mean? Like, is this really genuine? And so that really was my first thought. Like, are you really, as genuine as you say you are? And she was. And that was my experience. Just, it was such a phenomenal relief, because I felt like for the first time, somebody was walking with me. And that's something that's mentioned in scriptures about how we walk alongside someone who's going through burdens, we take that burden onto our shoulders as well. She couldn't make the decisions for me. She couldn't take the problem away from me, but yet she still walked alongside me, and she didn't judge me. There was no judgment, no condemnation, no anything. So even if I was still spinning my wheels for a minute, she just checked in and said, okay, how are you feeling in this moment? It wasn't like, how was today? Because to try to unpack an entire day to a person in crisis is difficult. But when you stop and pause and say, how are you doing in this moment? How are you feeling right now? And that kind of stops the wheels for a second. And then you can take a deep breath and really think, what is the immediate presentness, present space and mindset that I'm in right now? So those pauses were just such a tremendous gift to help me to stop and reflect, because when you're in crisis, in a crisis mode, you're constantly in this, it's almost like an adrenaline rush that never stops. It's a wave that keeps crashing and you just don't feel like you have the air to come up to the surface. But when somebody actually offers you that hand and helps to buoy your head up above the waterline, it is a relief. You take that gulp of air, and then when the next thing happens, you can actually have enough lung capacity, enough physical capacity, mental capacity to start to be able to see the situation for what it is and not always be in such a reactionary crisis mode, if that makes sense.
100%. Yes. So I like what you're sharing there, that they kind of helped doing a lot of techniques, it sounds like, to kind of ground you in the moment, so that you can kind of be able to take that breath and be able to make that choice. And that's so important for an advocate to understand, is how to help the person get in that moment and be able to ground themselves. Because when you're in trauma and your flight of flight is going, it's so hard to think clearly because you feel like a bear's in the room and you're going to grab hold of everything you can to keep from like drowning or being attacked by this bear. And so I love that. That's your testimony, and you sharing is just so beautiful. And I love what you said about walking alongside somebody. That is so important. As Christians, we're called to, and I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to that, Porscha?
No, I think it's amazing. It perfectly describes exactly what we're doing, and I know that just hearing her, it just reminds me of the other women that we are helping currently. Is that I've seen women come to me in tears, literally, when I first meet them, and I can speak to one woman right now. Like I first encountered tears the entire time I seen her, and like months later, and now she feels like she's grounded and she has control over her life. So that's what advocates do. They support you. They walk alongside you, even with the tears in your eyes. And, when you don't know what to do, you just feel out of control. But we lead you into the direction to where we can help you gain more control over your life and make sense of the things that's going around you and educate you about the things, the behaviors that are, the actions that are being done against you, the harm that's been brought towards one person, and help them understand give them a definition of what that looks like, and how you can overcome that the next time. And, just giving you tools and strategies to feel better about where you are and the direction you're going in your life. So to see you, Dana, here, and then now you're actually now in a place to be an advocate. So you're giving that back is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was definitely one thing in scripture I remember was that my tears not being wasted. So yeah, when you mentioned about the tears, yes, Christ captures all of our tears. And the other thing was I ugly cry. So that was why texting was easier for me. It's like I knew, because of where I was and the state that I was in the earlier months, I just knew that's all I was going to do was cry, not even get words out. But I felt like with texting or being on the phone, just that means would kind of help me kind of pause and kind of get my thoughts together. Because if I saw a person, that's it. The tears were on. Like if anybody said hi, boom, waterworks. And
Yeah.
so, and tears are healing because that all needed to come to the surface. But like I said, when I ugly cry, I mean, it's like snot bubbles. It's just not, I'm like, it's not pretty at all, but it doesn't have to be. And that's the beauty of advocacy too, is that you allow that person that space to release everything, because there's so much that person is holding in. And when they can finally release that in a safe environment, in a nurturing environment, in a genuine environment, then that's where a lot of the true healing can also come in.
Wow. Yes. Everything that you just said, I that's so true. That's part of my own healing journey as well, is like getting to that safe place. And I love that. And like having somebody else help you get to that safe place, because that's really hard sometimes to do on our own, and even how to process and think through things in that situation. So yes, very, very true. And I feel like for me, something I've learned is that you really can't grieve until you feel safe. So and to heal, you have to grieve. So like all of that in and of itself is like, even the healing, they're helping you heal, not only advocate for you and helping you deal with the situation, but they're helping you get safe so that you can grieve and heal and move forward in life, and then be able to help other women like you are. And it's neat because a lot of our women that have been through this program, or going through the advocacy program, have also been helped by advocates of Call to Peace Ministries in the past. Because Call to Peace has been around now for 4 or 5 years, so they've been helped by advocates, and now they're becoming advocates, because they're like, I mean, I know for myself, I couldn't have done it without my advocate. Like it's so needed, it's so important, just to know that you're not alone and you're not crazy for what you experienced, and just having that reassurance.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is awesome. I one of my favorite scriptures as of lately, and God just keeps giving it to me, is that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. That's one of my favorite, it just keeps ringing in my head. And I feel like that we truly, not only through Christ that we overcome through him, but we also overcome by hearing other people's stories. And when we share with other people, especially as advocates, our stories, our experiences, especially if we've been through domestic violence, it helps normalize what people are going through, what these women are going through, and these men are going through. Like, it helped normalize it, and it makes them feel like, oh man, she doesn't look like she's really been through much at all. She doesn't sound like you can hear healing in her voice. You can see it in her face. Like you don't see the triggering. You don't feel, because she's overcome. And when we share that with other people, we learned that we can overcome too. So.
Yes. Yeah, I think sometimes it really is helpful when you've been through it. Like, there's a post that Joy did a while back, and we're recycling it. But a lot of times women who go through domestic abuse can believe a lie that God doesn't want to use them, and that they're broken, or that they believe in, like, the lies of the enemy that their abuser told them, that they have to have it more together or have it together. But God delights in taking broken people and using them to advocate for others. And I just think that's so great. If you've been through domestic abuse and you want to advocate for others, going through the advocacy program is a great way to be able to do that and to be able to heal. But don't wait until you feel like, oh yes, I got to have it all together, because really you're never going to get to that place. But just walk alongside with somebody else, being willing to sit with somebody else in it and say, hey, I've been there. You're going to overcome. We're going to get through this together. And just knowing that they're not alone is everything, because so many times, like, the church doesn't understand, or your friends don't understand, or your family doesn't understand. And just being able to have that person there with you that's willing to walk with you through it and be like, I understand. And it's just, yeah, to me, that was everything to me, my faith. To me, and have a faith-based advocate was very crucial, and being able to walk that and be able to process through that in my faith as well. So is there anything else y'all wanted to add to that, or?
No, I think that's important. I think, we also always stress this in, even in the training, is that, a lot of the abuse is not physical. And there is also the emotional abuse in the scripture. I mean, the spiritual abuse. You know, the twisting of scriptures to control someone, or the emotional abuse to make someone feel like they're inferior, they're not worthy, or they're not worth anything. You know, and so there's different types of abuse, and I know that there's many communities, many cultural communities that have different ideas about what abuse looks like, and it's not always physical. So if you even have a question whether or not you're being abused, reach out. You know, there's tools on Call to Peace website that you can use, and you can reach out to someone to, you know, just ask questions if you just want to ask questions about where you know, and you can fill out a form and we can contact you just to see how we can help and how we can assist and make sense of where you are in your life. So
Yes, that was a great conclusion to that, is do not be afraid just to reach out and just get clarity on this situation. That's actually how I found Call to Peace, is I was just reaching out and trying to see if what I was experiencing was normal. And I think that's a great place to start. Does not mean that you're going to have to make an action plan to escape right away. Just reach out and ask questions, and have someone safe to be able to process through. Maybe it'll be a couple of years from now, but till you're ready to leave or make that step, or whatever the step is for you to take. But don't be afraid to reach out now.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, ladies, for all your time tonight. I'm going to check and see if there's any questions really quick. Are y'all okay? Have a moment. Let me check for that. Let's see.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back. And I don't think it's going to pull up. I'm going to go on my phone because it's not going to pull up on my computer while I'm on here. Oh, that would be me. Okay. All right. Let's see. We have basically we have 4 comments and a lot of views of people saying good job and great testimony. So thank you so much. There was no questions that I saw, but if y'all have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I can always tag Porscha in them and we can come back and answer them. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, Dana, for sharing your story with us. That was so beautiful and so well said. Everything just, wow. I was really inspired and encouraged by the work that's being done, and just motivated more to finish the course and be able to help other women walk with them through it. So thank you so much for your time and for sharing. And thank you, Porscha, for all that you do with Call to Peace. We are grateful for you both.
Thank you, Lauren. We're grateful for you too. You do a lot of great work when putting the word out and what Call to Peace is doing, and we appreciate that for it.
Yeah, thank you.
It takes a whole So, all right. Well, everybody have a good night. And once again, leave comments and questions if you have any. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.